in designing the team model,
Yeah.
how did you design it so that you could say this is better than being an independent agent, and why did you go that route?
On a team, you've got the time to pour into those clients. If you're wearing all the hats, back to that solo agent model, you're so caught up in transactions that it's all over the place and you don't have the time, and then you become transactional.
This is the Just One More podcast starring Chris Jacobs and Carlos Kopszywa.
All right, so welcome everybody to the 8th episode of the Just One More podcast. I am Chris Jacobs.
Carlos Kopszywa.
And today we have a special guest. We have the better of the brothers, the most important founder of the Neal and Neal team, Mr. Shane Neal. For anybody that doesn't know him, he is one of the co-founders, again, the most important one of the team. His brother Clint sold us out for whatever the hell he sold us out for. Whatever. I got you. We'll figure it out. So Shane, just give us a brief introduction, who you are, where you're from, and we'll go from there.
Perfect. Well, appreciate having me on the podcast. I know I've been watching this is the 8th one now?
This is the 8th one.
Yeah, so it's coming a long way from the beginning till now. And so a little background, obviously Shane Neal, I'd say 2010 started Neal and Neal Team, real estate right out of college, went to Texas A&M. Had to throw that in there for a little bit. But again, I grew up probably about an hour north of San Antonio in a little bitty town called Medina. So have a ranch out there and grew up that whole small town life.
There's still like 10 people out there, or
17 in my class when I graduated. So it was pretty small. Yeah. Big time. But went to A&M, then really dove into the real estate space right out of college. Kind of the 2008 bubble busted. That's literally when I graduated, 2008. Took about a year off, not doing anything. And then was like, all right, let's just dive into real estate. And that's really kind of I look at where is wealth created, you can kind of control schedule to a degree. And really real estate was that's the most common denominator with anybody really building a big wealth aspect of his real estate. So dove right into it, and kind of now here we are. A lot in between there, but
so, I mean, going back to coming out of high school, growing up in Medina, y'all came out of San Antonio, moved to Medina when you were real young, right?
Yes, I guess probably about 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the family business was not real estate.
No, it was not. They were in the convenience store business. So one-stop gas stations, they were Central Texas, out west toward Del Rio. So they were, I don't think how many years that ran for. 65 years, that business.
Jeez.
Somewhere in that range is how long they had it. And then really it's kind of funny. People were always like, oh, well, you're not going to go into that business. But my parents were, nope, you're going to go blaze your own path. That was never an option at all. I mean, it literally was I never worked in it, never did any of that. Then it was kind of just figure it out on your own. And I mean, it was kind of interesting how it transpired on that.
So Donald Trump got a small loan for $1 million. You didn't get that?
No, no, just a small loan.
Just a small one. It's a funny little backstory because you mentioned Del Rio. For those of y'all that don't know, Shane and Clint, they were kind of famous in Del Rio. I actually remember when I was a kid going down there and going fishing.
Yeah.
There was this convenience store, and I didn't know what it was. It was a one-stop. We get fuel there. Me and my dad would fish Amistad, and there was this picture when I was probably 17, 18, 19, somewhere in there. And I had gone back down there to fish it. And the first time I've been in this gas station since my dad passed away. And I walk in and I didn't know you yet. And I look on this, and there's these 2 shaggy ass headed kids.
Back when I had long hair.
On this wall, a picture of these 2 raggedy looking kids. I guess y'all were probably 16 at the time?
Yeah, it was in junior high.
Okay, so you were younger
Yeah, I
than
was
that.
younger than that.
And they had caught a record. No, you had to have been in high school.
Yeah, it was probably high school.
Like freshman,
sophomore, somewhere
a record gar or something out of Amistad.
Yeah, we did bow fishing. So obviously,
Wow.
if you don't know what that is, it's driving around a boat at night and you're hunting fish with a bow. So yeah, we ended up lake record. We had that record for probably 8 years, something like that. It's like 210-pound gar.
Yeah.
So I've never been gar fishing or hunting. You call it hunting or fishing?
It's bow fishing.
Yeah.
Bow fishing.
So
It's like a combination of hunting and fishing, and you put it together.
do you eat gar?
You can
do,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I never,
Kind of like alligator.
I've had alligator, but I never had gar.
Yeah.
But interesting little backstory, because I know, Shane and Clint are big into the outdoor space, hunting, stuff like that. So when you went to A&M, what did you go to school for, and how did that translate into the real estate world? And was that the plan?
Yeah, no, it was. So I did agriculture economics, but did the real estate and finance track of that. So I don't know, going into it is like real estate. That's, to me, is again, back where building the wealth aspect of it. So we took that track, and honestly, that by the time I graduated, I needed one class to get my real estate license. So a lot of like credits, back how it used to work. You could get a lot of credits from college and all of that from just classes, but it was just a simple kind of no brainer. Look, I only need one class for my real estate license. Let's just do that. And yeah, that's kind of how it transpired in that. But yeah, the thought of always doing something in the real estate field was there. Just didn't know exactly what it was going into college, but it kind of just transpired to what it is now.
So what a lot of people don't realize is that you and Clint, I almost screwed up.
Everybody messes it up. You're good.
I should not. You and Clint didn't start out hot selling houses. Y'all were doing rentals a lot, weren't y'all?
Yes. Yeah. That was primarily when we got out. We went around the KW office here in San Antonio and hit all the agents up. Hey, if you've got any rentals, let me have them. Let me figure it out. Kind of where I perfected it all was in the rental game. You can do that. You can do the buying side of it, which we primarily focused right into it. But yeah, it was all rentals. I mean, I don't know how many we did. Literally hundreds of rentals.
I did maybe 2 rentals in my whole career.
Never done a rental.
I did 2.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly didn't start out the easy way. And I think that's a common misconception with a lot of people that own real estate teams or are brokers. Like they think, oh, well, you started off hot right out of the gate, but that's not, I mean, I've followed the business for many, many years, and that's certainly not how y'all came out of the gate. And then the rental side of it was kind of what launched you.
Yeah, honestly, doing everything, the foundations of it. I mean, it was rentals and then open houses, door knocking. I mean, I can't tell you how many hundreds and hundreds of houses that we would door knock and have a change of clothes because I'd be sweating so much. Like it was in the heat of the summer. So literally all the foundational things that didn't cost money, we did. That's all we did to build it up. That was it.
So when you first got into real estate, before you even got in, did you have a plan to start a team and have 80 agents? Was that part of your original vision?
Yes. I going into it, we were always Neal and Neal Team. I mean, we started out with the vision of like, all right, we're going to have a team. Did I know when it was going to happen? No, but it took a few years, one, to learn the business, learn the ins and outs, but really building up enough money to invest back into it. That is the biggest thing with the growth and aspect of it. Just the different tools and systems. I mean, it all costs money at the end of the day. So that to me, I don't know. I feel like that, yes, the plan was always in place to do that. I didn't know exactly when, like, all right, let's start a team now. But about 4 or 5 years in is when obviously our first hire, Penelope.
Yep. And she's still here trucking along.
She's still here. Wore many a hats, and now she's director of growth.
So when you came up with the team model, like, how did you establish how you wanted the team model to work? Because obviously, back up, you've got your independent agents and you got team agents, and there's so much, in my opinion, coming from the volume side of it. There's so much negativity towards agents being on teams, and that was something that, when I came into the business, obviously you and Clint were were instrumental in getting me into the business by recruiting me for years. I looked at, team model versus independent model. The team model always worked better for me. But why do you think in designing the team model, how did you design it so that you could say this is better than being an independent agent? And why did you go that route?
It's a process. So it's not start a team and you have the best model out there that is the best leverage that I could say that to anybody. I mean, I think starting at the beginning, your typical models so it's a transition, obviously going into a team model. It's really the vision of like where myself and Clint wanted to be into it, like the operational, that's where my strong suit behind it is. But being an agent, so the transition from selling houses for 4 or 5 years to being primarily a listing agent, then backing out of that, that's one of the hardest transitions that anybody can do. But once you get to that point, along the way, the model changes on the aspect of it's a volume-based play at the end of the day. Some teams are set up where they don't want to do that. They want to have a smaller team, which is completely fine. That model works for where their vision is. But to get where we wanted to get in the position, it's sheerly volume. With more volume, more opportunity, more bigger relationships happen. But I think at the end of the day, it's kind of what you envision for a team, that all the models work. There's not one model that doesn't work.
Mhm.
It's just how is it going to fit what you want to do and what you want to build would be the biggest thing. But I would say it's all in stages. I mean, from the model that we had getting into a team to where it is now, completely different, way different. But volume allowed us to change it to where we are now. And that's where I think the future of to me, the team models, and just with everything going on in the market, I think where we're going now and where we are is the position we wanted to be in for sure.
So to piggyback off that question, I've been on the team since 2017. Obviously, the team started sometime around 2014, 2013.
Yeah. So
when you officially,
14, 15, yeah, somewhere in there.
when would you say you officially launched full-blown team? Like, when would you say, like, okay, I know you had, obviously when I joined, there was 5 or 6 of us, but you and Clint were still pretty heavy in production.
Yeah.
When would you say, okay,
We're running a team.
we're running a team.
No longer producing.
This is the Neal and Neal team. This is the model.
That took about, I say that transition was like a 2 to 3 year transition of saying, okay, we've got enough agents here. When I felt that my time not giving back to the agents or focusing on the team aspect of it was pulled away from production, I was like, okay, I've got a hard decision to make here. I've got to stop the production side of it in order to all these people coming on the team. I can't just let them float out there and try to figure out on their own. I mean, they're on a team for a reason. So at that time, I would say maybe it was 2017 ish, somewhere in there,
Yep.
that fully was like, okay, lines in the sand. What am I doing here? And that's where we eventually were
You're
like,
welcome.
yeah.
You're welcome.
yeah.
welcome.
I mean, it
Year
was,
you
yeah.
go.
When you came on, I was still completely in production. But yeah, that was the transition of like, okay, I've got to find some people to replace what I'm doing, take care of the business, and then focus on the business.
And I think that's a common misconception when you're dealing with teams and independents is you think because you're joining a team, you're just, and we'll dive into a little bit of it. We're not going to go into the nitty gritty of, splits and all that, but they think all splits. Well, you don't understand. Like I have broken down this model. I bet I've broken it down 20 times. The amount of leverage you get on a team, if it's done right, the character is, or the model is based on your level of success is based on your leverage, but more importantly, availability, training. And I see so many people on teams that have a team leader. Brokerages are a perfect example. Okay, you're here now, go.
Yeah.
And they just let you run. And you don't
Yeah.
I bet I wrote 30 contracts, not real ones, but 30 contracts before I was allowed to write a real estate contract and get even team leads. And that was part of the model coming on was you're going to learn. We're going to teach you everything you need to know. And then we're going to turn you loose.
Yeah.
But you're still going to have that fallback of somebody that you can talk to, someone you communicate to. Not to knock brokers out there, because we know plenty of brokers that we're personally friends with that are great brokers. But when you're still trying to produce at a high level, and I think there is some good leadership qualities in that those that produce still,
Mhm.
but you can't pour into your agents at a high level if you're producing at a high level. And like you and Clint, y'all aren't producing. I mean, y'all are producing.
Yeah, I
but
mean,
you're doing
3 deals a year. I mean, it's
so
minimum.
It's pouring into your agents. And if you talk to anybody on the team, everybody's got y'all cell phone numbers. Everybody can talk to y'all at any time. And that's what I think makes this team model work versus other team models that do work, but they don't get quite the quality of training, quality of return on their investment for the team side.
Yeah.
And one thing that I mean, outside of that I truly love about the team, I was a solo agent. I've been around a little bit before I joined the team, but they don't just let anybody in. They vet who they're bringing on. They do interviews. Like I walk into other teams and just, hey, I want to join. And they'll probably take you right there. And then you got to fit the model or you won't even be a part of it.
It's a partnership. I mean,
and a culture thing too.
It's massive.
I think when I joined the team, I interviewed with a panel of agents and ISA, 2 ISAs and 2 transaction coordinators. And it was like, holy cow, like this is one of the hardest interviews I've ever done. And I came from the corporate world where, everything was super structured. So, and again, I want y'all to understand something. Like while we are, of course, Shane and Clint own the team and we're on the team, like those of you that know me, I'm brutally honest about things. And I'm not saying any of these things
Too honest? I'm just kidding.
probably a little too, but I don't say these things to, prop up the Neal and Neal team. Cause listen, like I'm a high volume agent. I sell a ton of real estate. I don't take team leads very rarely. Unless, like y'all will call me and say, hey, we need you to take this. But I've done the team lead model. I've done the sphere lead model, and I'm primarily sphere. And most people think, well, why don't you go solo? I mean, I get asked all the time at the broker's level. It's like, why? Like I literally can do everything I'm doing on this team that I would do as a solo agent, but I have more leverage. I probably make more money, and I have way more time to focus on my clients, my sphere, my database, but more importantly, what we all go in real estate for, time.
Yeah,
And
time's everything.
I say this all the time. Your time is worth something. I get to spend more time with my family. I'm not out there delivering signs. I'm not out there delivering lock boxes. That's the leverage piece that so many teams, I feel like, miss the boat on. And I think that's what's kind of the Neal and Neal team has empowered people to, hey, focus on your business.
Yeah.
Let us worry about the back end shit so that we can put you on a path to success.
Yeah.
If you take a look at a lot of the agents on the team, you don't see a lot of agents on social media, all this stuff trying to promote themselves because we don't have to. It's all being promoted for us in a sense through the team, and we just got to convert on these leads, and that's the easiest thing. That's why it saves so much time. You also started a new venture called Wind River Lending. What exactly is that, and why did you go that route?
Yeah, so it's obviously heck, we started out in the whole flipping game.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you kind of got your foot in the door to real estate. And obviously you're in a different position now, but yeah, so come from the space of, we've flipped a ton of homes. We've been in that whole space, and really a good friend of mine out of Houston is in the hard money space. And we just got talking about different things, and he was talking about some of the stuff that he does, hard money. And I was like, man, this is something that I feel we have to get this out into the team, not only from a business aspect of creating this business for just in general people all in the city or surrounding, but even for agents. It's like this opportunity of hard money business is basically people looking to flip homes. They're looking to buy and hold a rental investment or refi it out. It's a short-term note in order to do that, gaining really easy access to capital to do investments. And people get into real estate, they want to invest in real estate, but they don't know how it works. So I think having a platform and a business that supports that on the team level is really the number one thing of like, hey, we're going to teach you how to do this. I've done it. And also can provide the funds and coach you through it. It's another coaching thing. And we've had agents utilize it. It's worked out great. And then really, for Chris, it's worked out great.
Was my choice.
There you go. But ultimately it kind of just spun off of a need that after learning about the business and understanding it, because it had this negativity to it when you hear hard money, it's really just private money for investment stuff. So really kind of reshaping that stigma behind it of like, look, I want people to come to me. They trust me. They're on the team, or they're an agent that knows us. Like, we're not going to screw around here. We're going to tell you how it is, and really just giving that vehicle to grow wealth again for an agent side of it. And then obviously turning it into a business, really.
I do get buyer clients who are just coming in to buy their residential home, and they're always like, I want to start getting into investing and stuff like that, but they're like, I just don't have the money or maybe the credit. Or what's different about hard money, at least from my perspective, is it's not necessarily about the money you have and the credit, but more about the deal.
Asset-based lending. We primarily look at the property. We're going to make sure doesn't have anything crazy on your history, all of that. Just nothing like a normal mortgage.
Like a 400 score, maybe not.
It just depends. It depends. You've got foreclosures, I might be a little nervous. But when you look at just that type of lending, we're looking at the property. Every property is different, and we underwrite every property solely itself and look at the numbers based on that. So it's very, very specific how we do that. And it's not your typical overall picture of a borrower. It's really the asset base. I got to look at it like I'm going to own that property. So I know I'm going to make a good investment. And that's where I think the coaching aspect of it, the angle we're taking with it is like, teaching people how to understand that and why our reasoning is, not just denying something and saying, I'll go find a better property. We're like, okay, you actually should buy this a little bit lower because of this. So it's a different approach to that aspect of it.
Well, I think that's important because on the hard money side, I've done a lot of deals with the hard money side, and there's a lot of companies out there that'll just give out. You just send it in, they'll give it out. And I think that's a problem for investors because one, when you're going into the flipping game, and we're going to talk about long-term rentals versus flipping here shortly, but when you're going into the flipping game, you have to understand your margins. You have to understand what you're buying it for, what your rehab is going to be. Make sure you account for commissions and stuff like that you're going to pay out either up front or on the back end. And with Wind River, and again, this is not propping up just one company because I work with them, but you look at their realtors, they can look at comps, they can look at the ARV, they can sit there and evaluate that property, and they can tell you if you're buying a good property or not. And I think that's important in knowing when you're going into it, you're partnering up with someone that literally does this for a living. This is their job. This is their livelihood. And they're saying, hey, look, the numbers are too tight. And you can look at your margin and say, well, I'm not making anything. Well, then it's not worth lending on because again, you've got to have the perspective of if you screw up, I got to take this property on and I still got to be able to make money off of it too. So, and that's what was kind of cool when y'all went into that, me having the experience of doing the flips when I first got into the business and knowing that, 70% or whatever that margin is that you're trying to float going into it, understanding that that's why the hard money is so valuable. But people so often look at the long-term. It's like, you shouldn't be holding it long-term. If you're looking at what it's going to cost you over 6 months, you're doing it wrong because it shouldn't take you 6 months to flip and turn a property. You should be looking at, okay, 60-day rehab, it's going to cost me $4,000 or $5,000 and hold it, whatever. You're building that in to your margin. So it makes a lot of sense when you dig into that side of the space. Having the lending side plus your partners in a title company and obviously the team, you get to have a lot of different conversations with agents on the team and off the team. What are some of the most common challenges you're seeing right now from your perspective that agents are going through?
I'd say lack of training. Honestly, I think not only are the climate that we're in right now in the market wise, but even with this NAR stuff and all of that, just kind of feeling lost. I get calls, texts, hey, how's the market? Questions about this, just random questions, but it just tells me they don't understand what's going on or not in a position or a place to learn what is going on and being coached through different situations. I think to me, that's the biggest one. It's just kind of that lost feeling. Recently some of the agents joined the team. That's the feedback. It's like, they don't know what to do. What is the market going to do? All they're on is social media and they're looking at the news and like, okay, let's break down the reality of what is actually going on and just getting that confidence in agents really. I would go back to the training and just knowledge and overall support, honestly.
Yeah. Last couple of years.
Think about how much has changed in 2 years.
You didn't have to be very smart 2 years ago. Yes, maybe smart, but you didn't have to know anything about real estate. You just show up, open the door, get a contract, make $10,000, whatever that may be. Those people are the ones feeling it because they're like, okay, now I actually got to work. What do I got to do? How do I do it? And how do I actually generate business? Another thing about the team is they set it up to where you really can't fail on this team. If you fail on this team, you're just not putting it into work.
There's some context you got to apply to that too, in that you have to have a specific mindset to be on this team. Again, I speak to agents on a daily basis and I'll tell them all the same thing. Confidence is everything in this business. If you have confidence, then so many things fall behind confidence. We don't use the term coaching on this podcast because but it's being intuitive. It's learning what you can and can't get away with, what you should and shouldn't do. Understanding Training, which is a training program y'all developed, watching other agents, engaging with other agents in whether it be in the group chat or in individual one-on-ones. That's how you establish that confidence. And so many of those, so many of those agents that came into the industry, I would even say 40 years ago. And it's not just people that came in during COVID or when the market was at its peak. They don't want to continue to learn. I know what I know. I'm good. Well, the market is ever changing. So whether you're dealing with someone that's been in the business 40 years or 5 years, this isn't the market that it was 5 years ago. No. I don't care if you came into this business in the height of the market or when dinosaurs are still walking the earth. The good agents, the Shane Neals, the Clint Neals, the Kendalls, the Penelopes that are all in leadership positions, they've done it. They've seen it. They've learned it. I would even go as far as including myself in that, because I'm always learning. Like I learned something brand new the other day about title companies and title insurance and stuff like that. Like if you're not constantly investing in learning, trying to advance that knowledge of the contract, the third party finance, seem like you're not going to be successful. So the agents that don't succeed on the team, it's not because the platform's not there. It's because they wanted to go a different direction, or they wanted to take advantage of the system, or they were lazy. And the ones that want to go in a different direction, salute to you. We have several friends that have gone different directions. It doesn't work for everybody. And I get that, but I bet if we put a number on it, what do we have, 73 agents now, 74?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. I bet if I put a number on all the agents that left the team, I bet less than 10% are still agents.
Yeah. I don't know the exact statistics on that.
I bet it's pretty damn close.
Yeah. I would definitely say I still follow most of them on social media and stuff like that. And yeah, a lot of them are not agents.
Yeah. I always thought like, okay, well, it's going to help you figure out if you want to be in real estate or not be in real estate. Either way is fine. I mean, I have really no ill feeling when people leave the team on that topic. It's more of, hey, if it's not for you, okay, it is what it is. Like there's no hard feeling on that aspect of it. It's just, it's a partnership. It's two-sided. We bring this, you bring this piece to it, and it's a partnership. And that's how we view it. It's not a, come on, how much can you close? Let's do it. It's literally you're plugging in, and it is a full partnership. And that's how we've really viewed it and built it around.
And that's why the culture works so well, because we do events, we go and see each other, we hang out, we go happy hour, stuff like that. And I think that's really important in how we've really, how you guys and the team has really developed a team. Because if you really think about how the team model is broken down, when you and Clint kind of backed out of production and you brought on a leadership team, you let the agents develop the team. You let the agents develop the culture. And we all kind of created our own little group, like team that, hey, look, like Shane and Clint are the forefront of the team, but if we want this to work, we all have to work together and make sure that we're helping each other out, showing agents, open houses, things like that. And I think that's what kept the growth of this team, because we were worried about it. We talked about it. When
culture,
oh my God.
Culture just bears its head all the time. And it's one of those things
when y'all grew so much. Because, when I was first starting out, I started out as a buyer's agent, and within 6 months, I was the only listing agent on the team. Yeah. And I handled all the listings. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, hell yeah. And it's like, this is great. And we had buyer's agents and one listing agent, and we would play pool in the office and smash Clint and Shane in the face with pies. And, and then when they started talking about, okay, we're going to grow this thing exponentially, it was like, well, what about what we have? Like our little, but it didn't really, it changed when COVID hit.
Yeah.
And
there's changes. It's just, you got to keep grounded in the culture. It goes back to the interview process. Getting like-minded individuals into the team is the number one priority. Like that is why I think our interview, and I know why our interview is so long, because we were trying to mitigate that, because the culture aspect of it, we have hands around. We do not want anything to happen to that. And that's what it just depends. Again, it goes back to how your model's set up. How do you want to run it? And I think that to us was culture is everything at the end of the day.
There's been a couple people slip through, but we got them all. We got them off here. But next up, so you take on not necessarily just residential real estate, but multiple different real estate ventures and other ventures. Why going through these other avenues and not solely just the team? What is it? What's your biggest purpose, I guess you could say?
Yeah, to me, it's when creating the team and all that. We can go back to our team advances like 8 years ago, and I've still have the same vision model of this. I would say it's really this conglomerate of the one-stop shop when it comes down to it, and having the ability for, I think really how we have the team set up. Again, it goes back to culture. Even in the other businesses, it's getting that synergy created with all like ancillary businesses around it. So in controlling that experience, because my beliefs could be completely different to someone else, but growing all those ancillary businesses, it's been the vision all along at the end of the day, and just being able to really control the customer experience. Because you could have one in there that's just horrible and it ruins everything else you got going on one side. And that to me was a big, big thing.
I think it's providing value, not just to the agent side of it, but to the consumer side, because when you can call one person it's like I always say with mortgage brokers, they're easy to deal with because you're not dealing with USA or Randolph Brooks going through 8 different people. If I can call one person, my agent, and they can set me up the lender, a title company, insurance, home warranty, inspections, like it just makes it so much easier. And sorry for you, but a lot of solo agents don't quite have that. They have partnerships, they have MSAs or whatever with different companies, but it's kind of like, okay, just go hire an inspector or go pick, hey, I got somebody, here's 3 or 4 choices of insurance. It just makes it more appealing, I think.
Yeah. When I was a solo agent, I would get questions all the time, and I'm like, I don't know, let me go on Facebook and just see who I could find some random person that I've never met. I don't know how they work, anything like that. They come in and do a horrible job.
Yeah, it just ruins the trust, everything you built with a client. Yeah.
They never send me. That happened a couple of times. They never send me business again.
Yeah.
And you look at the most successful real estate agents, most of them in the industry, they have a team.
Yeah.
They have a team. Like most of your MSAs teams. Your mortgage companies, they want to work with teams. You get more advantages, you get more benefits of dealing with a team. It's just the nature of the business because it's like you said, it's a volume play.
Yeah.
Everything you do is a volume play. Every agent, and we talk about this all the time, every agent works transactionally. Well, if you get that out of your mindset and you start working for your future, working for 3 months, 5 months, 6 months from now, you'll become a volume model and you won't worry about, well, I only made $3,000 in this transaction. Well, guess what? You've got 7 more in the pipeline because you're planning for that. So that $3,000 means jack shit. It's a volume play.
Yeah.
That's why those big mortgage companies, the brokers, the title companies, they want to work with teams because they're going to bring them volume.
What's the average deals per year the agents are closing right now? Do you know? Is it like 8 or 9? Not on a team, just in general.
I think it's lower than that.
It's 2 or 3 a month.
No.
No, I'm sorry.
A solo agent out on their own?
What's it? 8 to 10 deals a year?
I think so.
Yeah, it's either that.
It's
that
less
could
than
be a
4
lot
million in
lower.
volume.
And I wasn't even doing that as a solo agent. I was 5 deals a year, just closed 7 last month, and that's the volume game. And that's not because I work extremely harder than anybody else. It's just the model. That's just how it's all set up.
We looked at this a couple of years ago, right before a team advance. And I think the average agent was doing less than $3 million a year. Then COVID hit, it went up, but I think it's still going to be around $3 million a year. Well, there's agents on this team doing $3 million a month.
Yeah.
Like multiple agents.
How many are you doing this month?
3.5 million.
Oh, that's it.
That's it. Unlike your 400,000. But yeah, I mean, so it's perspective. It's and then again, you go back to your time and the agent we're not knocking solo agents. Don't take it that way, but we're looking at a perspective of our team versus solo. When you look at a solo agent that does 12 deals a year, let's just say 12, you're probably talking somewhere around $4 million, and they're spending so much time to just get those 12 closed. When the most I've closed in a month, I believe, was 14. And I think it was July of 2022, either 21 or 22, and I spent almost half that month at the coast.
Yeah.
It's the leverage. It's the leverage.
Yeah.
Transaction coordination.
Yeah. When you're new in the business and you do one or two deals, it takes up all your time. Doing 10 deals, same concept. It's all your mindset shift. You just learn what's important, not important. And with the leverage piece of it, it gets easier. You think it would just be more and more work, but your brain just gets conditioned with how everything works. And again, what's important, what's not important.
So you and Clint came into this business as relative solo agents.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you've done the solo agent gig. I can't speak to because I've never done it, but you've done the solo agent gig. Now you have the team gig. We'll start with Shane. What is your take on solo agent versus team?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I know your take, but you provided a unique insight because you've had to go through every avenue possible to generate income. So pros and cons, solo versus team.
Solo, I would start off you're going to do everything. You're going to wear all the hats. And I think the team side of that, obviously we're talking leverage and all of that. I mean, you don't have to wear all the hats. So it goes back to time, but leverage to get more business. I think the biggest to me would be solo is very lonely. I remember even Clint and I just selling ourselves. And there's of course 2 of us, we're always talking together, but even at that, it's like, man, it's like, I want to be around a group of people. It's fun doing it. It's that culture piece that a lot of people, not that they discount, but they they want it, but they want to be solo or they want to be a team, but they're missing the culture piece, that environment. And to me, that to be very productive and surrounded by a ton of productive people, that to me is a very powerful thing, creating the synergy piece of it to produce at an extremely high level. What is it? You're the average of the 5 people you're around. Well, if you're around 5 top producers on a team, you're probably going to be a top producer just because of the habits and the knowledge you're learning. Solo, you can do it. I mean, there's high producers out there on their own doing it. They figured it out. They've got an assistant. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Again, it goes back to where you want to go in your vision and time and all of that. I think the time aspect to me is one of your biggest is solo versus team. You're going to get back a ton of time on a team, in my opinion. And really you expedite your business. If you're on a solo doing 12 deals a year, the time to build up the referral network, the past clients versus someone on a team doing 24 deals, double that in say their first year. Well, you've got double the amount of SOI now. Okay. Well, now you're speeding up your trajectory to be really a referral based business, which that's what our entire model is built on, is get the clients, feed your database. How quick can you get clients? Like that is the goal, but take care of them and build a database. So I think it speeds up the process of a lot of people. They're out there just grinding, going, being solo, but getting leverage and speeding up your business to work easier, I think can easily be accomplished quicker on a team.
Yeah, definitely can. Like me, for example, I felt like my first year on the team, I learned more in that first 6 months. I before I joined the team, I had my license for like 3 years. I learned more in that first 6 months than I did in those whole 3 years because I had so much business.
Yeah.
And I went through those transactions and I failed. I had stuff go haywire and stuff go south, but I learned through it. And as a solo agent, because I'm not doing that many deals, there were no way I would have learned that. And again, I wouldn't even have anybody to ask. We have Slack where we have 70 agents. Somebody's gone through it. One way or another, somebody's gone through it somewhere. But next up, that kind of brings me into my next topic. So I actually I have quite a bit of listings right now, and I get some buyers agents that'll call in, not call in. And we'll talk about the listings, and they actually talk about how they're struggling and stuff like that right now. How do you keep your agents motivated in a declining market? I know that we're kind of on pace to have one of our best years, but other agents out there, how would you keep them being motivated?
I would just, first off, why are they in the business and what are they doing? I mean, what are they doing in real estate? Basically their why. I mean, you always hear that. It's a common theme of like, why are you doing what you're doing? But are they in it for just a job? Or are they wanting to make a career out of it? To me, those are very different things. Are you just doing it to go through the motions, make money, and then you're going to go to your next move? Or are you making a complete career out of this? So really, it would be understanding where they're at in their life of what they're trying to accomplish. But I think it's just laying out a clear plan of what they need to do in order to either get back on track. Are they in the right spot? Are they not getting the support? Again, it goes back to the support, the leadership, the culture. Are they missing that component that they don't think is too important in their business when it could be the game changer for where they want to go? But again, it's goals. It's an assessment of the individual. Where are you at in your business? Why are you in real estate? What do you want to do in the next 5 years? And then you got to get a plan in place. I mean, if you don't have a plan, you're lost.
Yeah, I think that a lot of what people don't have a plan and they have false expectations. Like I actually went to a new build community where I was speaking with the guy and he was like, oh yeah, I tried to be a real estate agent, but people kept calling me all day and I didn't want to answer my phone. I'm like, yeah, like that's why you didn't make it. And I actually talked to a guy yesterday. He's 2 months in and he was super motivated. He's like, I'm door knocking every day. I'm doing open houses every week. And you can tell he's hungry. So I think it's more about people got lazy over the last couple of years. And now we just have to get back to the fundamentals and actually do our job. And that's kind of where I'm at.
In touching on that, I think a lot of the motivation falls in, are you making money? Yeah. Because if you're not making money, you're not motivated by anything, because your goal is always to make money. But if you're not making it, you're going to lose that motivation. And I think that's what drives me. Everybody talks about measuring success. And I've said this for years. forget about that. You can't measure success. Success is immeasurable
Different
because you
between
can,
me and
well, not only that, but you can always adjust your levels of success. So like you look at an independent individual, not just an independent agent, but just anybody individually, and they say, I want to make 100 grand a year. Well, if they make 80 grand a year, they're like, oh, I made 80 grand a year. Hey, you know what? That was still a successful year. So I don't look at that. Like I don't look at, well, 100 grand is successful to me. No, I have a goal and I have measured my business on how to get to that goal. I have hired my own people on top of the leverage I get from the team. And I say every year, you cannot move goalposts. You may be able to figuratively do it or metaphorically do it, but you can't figuratively move goalposts. They are at the end of each end zone. And you need to go from that end zone to the other end zone. If you don't get to that end zone, you don't score. And so many people will say, I was talking to a guy about 3 or 4 months ago, right after deer season was over. And agent, he was like, man, last year, I made $230,000. Man, it was a super successful year. I was like, what was your goal? Well, 300,000. Well, how was it successful? Because you're adjusting what you said you were going to do. Sure. Can you live off 230? I'd hope so, but that's not what your goal was. So were you truly successful? So when I hear people talk about, well, my level of success is this, it's immeasurable to me. My goal is my goal. My standard is set. I have to meet that standard. And I know what my standard is. And I know what my plan is in place to get it. And so many agents in this industry don't have a plan in place because they're living, like we say, transactionally. The day to day, I got the contract. Now it's going to get it closed and I'll worry about the next one. Well, when you have that ability to build your plan, build your calendar to follow that plan, build your structure to have leverage, now you can start thinking, okay, I no longer have to live transactionally. When it gets slow for me, I'm not worried about it because I know I've got a pipeline coming up. I have my plan in place. My calendar is set up so that I get notifications 2 hours before every call and 1 day before every call. So I know I got plenty of time to handle whatever I need to handle before I need to be at that appointment or be at that.
The structure.
It's 100%. And I look at it kind of like the military. If you're going to be tactically efficient, operationally in control, you have to have a plan. You have to have a structure in place. That's why if you go into this business thinking, I get more vacation time, or that's not how it works. No. My first 3 years in this business, and anybody that knows me in this industry can attest to it. I worked harder than anybody around me. And I still feel like I do. But you're able to build that structure so that at year 4, 5, 6, you can tail it back. I tailed it back unit wise over the last 2 years by over almost 50 units. I noticed more money because I'm closing more volume. But I think that's an important note is that structure. And
that's a team component. I mean, even going through interviews and talking with agents, like I always ask them, what are goals look like? Or what would you want your goal to be a year from now sitting at this table? I want to know if they're thinking like that and where they're at in their mindset of, is there any plan or are they just lost? If they're lost and they have an idea okay, let's build a plan. Those are the type they're instinctively, they're motivated. They're doing the open house, they're doing, but it's just not coming together. Probably because they're trying to do too much at once because all the things work, but it's really definite. Yeah. I'm like Carlos over here. He's done everything. But it's just defining that plan and having their goal at the mind and breaking it down and showing them how to do that. But again, it's structure. Coming into a team, that's the structure that I know agents need. Then that's how we operate.
Well, you go back to Carlos as an example, coming into this, you were trying to get your feet wet, but the last few years you've exploded, but you're not doing all those things that you were doing because I always say you can be great at one thing and do a couple other things, but if you're really good at a lot of different things, you're not great at one thing.
Jack of all trades.
What has turned the corner for you? What are you doing that has made you turn the corner into this high producing, high volume agent?
So I've always been shiny object guy. Everybody knows I like the new technology, the newest thing. Like I'm always searching.
He's our IT guy.
He's not very good
part-time.
But ultimately, I stopped doing that. I got like, all right, this works. Why would I do anything else? Like all I got to do is meet these people, gain their trust, be myself, really just provide service and not worry about like, oh, let me go get this because it's going to have better splits or whatever that may be. You know what? Let me get this business being given to me. And I'm going to think of this one transaction as 7 transactions because they're going to buy, sell, invest, whatever that may be over the next couple of years. So instead of just worrying about how many leads can I get right now? I really changed to, all right, let me build a relationship with these people. Like, so I'm in year 4 on the team. My first 3 years were all Zillow, all team leads. I'm at 50-50 now, and I'm getting that lower where it's like Sphere, self-generated business off of those people that I've built through that. So I think it's really just pouring into the people that the team's given to me in a sense.
Well, it's a confidence too.
That too, yeah.
I mean, you gain a ton of confidence, and you look at, even if you talk about a split model, which everybody gets so scared of, look, I've done the math, and the team model that we have is structured around start your business on team leads, but the goal is at the end of the day to convert it to Sphere.
Yeah.
And go,
100%.
You start team heavy, then you flip the model. I flipped the model about 4 years ago to where I went Sphere heavy. And I can tell you right now, knowing
well, that's the only way if you don't do that, you will burn out.
Oh yeah.
Well, 100%, because you'll start bitching about, I'm not making. I promise you this: it costs you more money as a solo agent to do what I do as a team agent.
Yeah,
I know it does. I've looked at this 1,000 different ways, because you're always, as a business owner, you're always looking at ways to increase your overhead or to increase your bottom line.
Not overhead.
Not overhead. No, you want to reduce your overhead. Sorry. Terrible business owner. But that's the team model, is you empower your agents. We empower the agents to build your business off a team model and then flip the script.
Yeah. Most agents come in, they're kind of lost. Usually they're, okay, I don't have lead sources. I'm doing this, doing that. Well, we have multiple sources of leads. You plug into that, use the framework, the foundations of taking care of your database that we have to teach you to change that mindset. And that's key, because yes, by year 3, you should be weaning off, honestly, year 2, year 3, weaning somewhat off team generated business, because you were doing the right things with your database.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only way you're going to avoid that burnout piece of it, that it is all in this industry. You see it all the time. I mean, you can be the highest producer in the world for 2 years, and then all of a sudden it's gone because you just can't handle dealing with it. Because you got to set the business set up correctly with the right plan to really bank it on referrals. That's the goal.
You go back to the volume thing and how that flips to Sphere. If you're a solo agent, you're getting 1 or 2 leads a month from wherever. The average homeowner sells every 5 or 6 years. Well, now you're going to wait 5 or 6 years for those 1 or 2 homeowners to sell to get their referral business or to get their repeat business. You may pick up some referrals, but if you're getting 10 leads, well, guess what? Those 10 leads are going to spread out over the course of a year, and that's in a month. And I bet agents probably get more than that.
Yeah.
But let's just say you're getting 10 leads. Well, those 10 leads are going to close one next month, one the following one. So now you have built-in business, and now you have built-in cycles of Sphere, because the next go round, depending on the source, is a Sphere lead. And they're going to go and they're going to probably say, oh, I was here 2 years. I'm PCSing. I need to sell. They're going to call you because you've been following up. You're consistent. But now that 1 out of 10 just flips 2 years, and you still got 9 more that over the course of the next 3 to 6 years are going to call you back. And that's every friggin' month.
Yeah. It takes a little bit to build that up. You've got to get in, 5 to 7 years. Well, you've got to get business and close business for 5 to 7 years to see that Sphere turnover. But again, referrals can come day one.
That's where it's coming for me, is like, I provide a great experience. They're like, hey, by the way, my cousin's moving here, my brother's moving here, whatever that may be. I just got a couple referrals while we're doing this podcast. I got to call them after this. But it's happening more and more. And that's because I have, I don't know, like 400 leads since I've been on the team. I look at it all the time. But with those 400 leads, I haven't closed all 400 leads. But those people that still never bought.
You haven't closed them?
No. But
working in progress.
Yeah. Still working them. But they send me referrals too. Even though I never even closed with them.
Yeah, 100%.
They're still sending me referrals because they're like, hey, you've been staying in touch. You've been sending me I send a newsletter. You've been sending your newsletter, things of that nature. They call me. I get random calls all the time. Hey, can you list my house? Hey, my cousin's moving here. Can you buy it? And it's just building the database. That's really all it is.
Yeah. And I think it comes back to, I think on a team, you've got the time to pour into those clients.
Mm-hmm.
If you're wearing all the hats, back to that solo agent model, you're so caught up in transactions that it's all over the place and you don't have the time, and then you become transactional. So I think that to me is a huge element on the team, is really you got the time to follow up with these clients, take care of them, use the models and all of that. It just compounds a lot faster, and we see it all the time.
So when talking about being lazy and not showing up and doing what you're supposed to do, what is one of the worst attributes that Clint brings to the table?
Worst attributes.
Because I mean, he clearly didn't show up. He
Yeah,
thought his wife.
he's
and family was
busy.
more
I guess.
important.
I know. I guess his kids are more important.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the success of this team falls on the back of the Just One More podcast,
Right.
and he's out gallivanting around in some
I don't even know
crystal
where it
clear
is.
blue. I don't know. He went to some island somewhere.
I don't
Probably,
know that.
probably using my discretionary fund somewhere.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, you and Clint are two very different people.
Mhm.
I don't even think y'all look alike. We won't even get into the attributes of that because I give y'all hell about that all the time. But as partners, not just brothers, but partners, each of you have a different level that you bring to the team.
Yeah.
What would you say is the difference between two of you? Like, who is who on this team?
Yeah. Clint's side of it, I would start very numbers oriented,
Mhm. I
very,
see that.
yeah, into all the number aspect of it. I mean, it can just anything really numbers. I mean, it could be tracking all kinds of that type of stuff. My end, I'd say I'm more people side of it. I feel like I get a heck of a lot more calls than he does just because I don't know. It's just a natural personality of how we operate, but it works well with our dynamic. Yes, we're twins. We think a lot alike, but he definitely favors the back end numbers,
Analytics,
the operational, that piece of it. I'm in the middle of it as well, but that's kind of his baby when it comes to, and I think you could ask anybody on this team and they're going
Yeah.
to tell you that as well. It took the longest time to figure that out because we were both doing everything together in the same thing. But now as we've got bigger, we've kind of little separated into our own roles of what that looks like. Can I define that on a piece of paper? No, but it kind of naturally evolved. More people side of it and Clint's more back end number side of it. And
So what you're saying is Clint is an lazy introvert. That's what you're saying.
I didn't say that.
I mean,
Clint said, or Chris
this was
said that.
well emphasized in what he said. No, but I would say that's probably how I would see it.
No, exactly how I see it as well. Like I'm very numbers driven myself as well, and Clint's always sitting out.
And y'all are about the same height.
Yeah. but I'm kind of in the middle of both of them. Like I'm very numbers driven, but I am a people person. So I like being able to talk to him about certain things, being able to talk to Clint about certain things, and getting both sides of the spectrum, I guess you could say. And it really helped again build the culture of the team.
Yeah, I would fall probably more in line with the Shane side of it. I'm more people generated. I can't work the number side of it to save my life. Like I literally have somebody that I pay to do that for me because that's not my forte. I can't. Like we went over this several times when I was trying to grow my side of it. Even when I started my first pod, it's like, okay, this is not like I'm a leader without being a leader. Like I started out on the leadership side. We first started the whole leadership thing, and I was like, I can't do this because I can't stay in tune with this. I'm the world's worst at Boomtown.
Like you said earlier, if you're producing high, you really can't take care of.
You can't.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest downfall on the leadership side. And I still talk to several of the agents that worked underneath me, but it's like, I'd much rather be on a level playing field with them and have that conversation eye to eye. Like, okay, this is how I would do it. How would you do it? And then work it that way. Where I think that Clint does that well, but his specialty is, okay, well, let's break down
all the numbers.
Mhm.
Where's the breakdown?
Yeah. And work it backwards. What is your input? What is your opinion? Just be honest. This is nothing but an honest space. It's a safe space.
Safe space.
For
Okay.
honesty. What's your opinion on coaching? And I'm
So-
talking, you can, if you want to separate it into business coach and real estate coach, you
I was
can.
about to say.
Yeah, I think there's a level of coaching for anything you want to do or mentorship. It kind of, again, it goes back to vision, where you want to go with your goals. I think there's the foundation coaches that are all out there are perfect for agents starting out, but as you level up in different spaces, you're going to grow past certain coaches. I'm at the level where I've got mentors now. Now on the coaching side of it, I have been through coaches for 10 years and every single one of them served a purpose. It was really, okay, I'm stuck at this level. I need to get to this next level. Now, who has been there? I want to hire that person to get me through that level. Now, I think coaching and all of that, it really depends on, again, it's going to go back to the agent on what they're struggling with. You've got to dissect where you think the holes are in your business and seek out individuals that do that. It could be the base level, just getting started, or you're at a level that you need the mentorship and where you want to go, honestly. So I think there's a spot for it for the right individuals, depending on what they're needing and what they seek out.
Yeah, I've personally tried coaching multiple times, but we've had this conversation before where mentorship is obviously much better than coaching. I had learned that the hard way, very expensive way, but I did get some good information from it. But at the end of the day, I feel like most of the time that when people have a little knowledge of what they're doing, coaching is just someone holding their hand. That's it.
Yeah.
Just accountability, holding their hand. You're just paying somebody to hold your hand. Like you can find everything that a coach tells you online. If you're on a team, find a mentor versus a coach.
That was the biggest thing for me going into this business. And we had talked about having, I looked at different coaches. I probably interviewed a dozen coaches. And the biggest thing for me was how I just didn't see how someone could coach me in this real estate industry without being productive in this real estate industry because the market changes day over day. So I went more towards the mentorship route. I befriended several high producing agents that weren't on the team and obviously agents that are on the team. And I went and found the holes in my business and had several conversations with Shane and Clint. Penelope was a big part of that, because she was such a high producing agent going into that leadership side. So I wanted to plug the holes in my business with the knowledge that I get from her, from the Kevin Crawfords of the world, Robin Saunders, like those type of people that could say, okay, this is what you're missing here. Try to integrate it here. But I wanted to do it my own way because I'm a stubborn asshole. And I just knew that I couldn't, I can't.
You couldn't get coached out of that.
I could not get coached out of that.
No coaching that's going to get you out of that.
No. And that was something that I think really kind of propelled me to the next level of shifting gears to focusing on volume over units, time over wasted energy, and just transforming that into a solid real estate platform.
Yeah.
And then from there, going into owning a gym, owning a consulting business, doing all these little different avenues. And that leads me to the next part of this conversation is when agents want to venture out. So many agents want to get into the real estate wealth space, growing wealth by buying real estate. I went into the short-term rental game. Wasn't for me. Didn't really like it. The first house you sold me was my very first rental. And that was a fucking disaster.
I learned a lot on that one.
We learned a whole lot about all kinds of lawsuits that were going down. But when you dig into real estate wealth and you're giving advice to an agent, what would you push them towards? More the long-term rental side or the flip side?
It's what are their goals? Are they need cash now, or do they want to build? They're in the position to build that wealth. You're a brand new agent and you're taking money and you want to go immediately do a long-term rental. I would just ask the question, like, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you looking long-term building wealth or short-term gratification flipping a house? Or if it's flip a house, then I'm going to buy a short-term or a long-term, like a rental. I think it just depends. Again, I mean, I keep always divert back. It's more asking the questions to the agent of what they're trying to accomplish.
End goal, back to
Yeah. Get the end goal and then build back. Okay. If you want to be in 10 years, have this much passive income. Okay. Well, that could look like 15 rentals. Like, okay, now you should buy one a year. Like it's all on that. So there's not a right or reason. You can build a whole business on flipping houses for long-term wealth. How big do you want to get it? It all can get done. It's just, what is that end goal? And then backwards you go with all of it.
I feel like a lot of people, especially in this industry, think too much about the now, instant gratification. They don't want to plan for a year, 2 years down the road. They want to just, all right, what am I going to do this month? What am I going to do next month? And one thing we all know in this business, whatever you're doing now, you're not going to get paid this month. You're going to get paid in 2 or 3, 4 months.
Yeah.
But same things goes with real estate. You got to plan long-term and backtrack it. Like I know in my end goal, I want like 10 rentals by the time I retire. That's my end goal. I haven't even started getting one yet, but
we need to talk on a plan then.
As I said, I know the end goal.
Yeah.
I just haven't backtracked the plan yet, but I did start doing my first flip, and my plan is to take that, put into a rental. That's my ultimate goal. I do want to try the Burr method, but I don't know enough about it yet.
I have no idea what you're talking
You don't know what Burr is? By
rinse, and repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but see, and I look at it from a different perspective in that I did the rental game. I still own one rental. But I look at how to build long-term wealth using multiple avenues.
Yeah.
Not just the rental game. Like I do the flips with a business partner of mine, and I own a gym, and I leverage my real estate business to open the gym, to start to, build out the relationships, to do the flips. I would much rather partner up with flippers that want to flip them, find them the house, show them how to lay that house out so that buyers are most interested in it, and then let them flip it, and then I list it and sell it. Same thing with builders.
Yeah.
And I think a good way to look at that if you're looking at long-term rentals versus, flipping business, look at going into business with builders. Go find builders. I spent the first year of my career chasing builders, and it turned into a 205 unit development that I now have all that builder's business, and then consulting with that builder on how to build the house, what people are looking for. She's got the eye for the outside, but I've got the eye for what's going to go in the house, because we know what buyers are looking for. The 4-bedroom with an office or 3-bedroom with a study, flex space. I mean, things like that. And then translate that into 3, 4, 5 builders. And now you've just created wealth in that they're constantly going to use you, and you can bring them business, and they're going to pay you to bring them business. And then you turn that into the flip game, and you get flippers that are going to do the same thing. And so that turned into, okay, what else can I do? And that was opening up another business. And that was the consulting business, consulting with developers and building that process out. And I'm still trying to develop that process. And then that turned into, I sneeze. That turned into Silo Fit. That turned into a gym with a business partner that flips houses. And that business has grown exponentially. And I create more revenue doing that than it is owning rental houses. And that's just my way of doing it. But that goes back to the leverage side of it.
Yeah, real estate's it's a conduit. It's literally it's a machine to build wealth and do things with the money. And honestly, that's what it comes down to. And you just got to figure out what you want to do. What do you want your life to look like? You have to get into the mindset of, where do I want to be in 10 years? If you're not thinking about it, you're going to be lost for 10 years, day to day.
I'm going to open up a business with eyelashes.
Will never happen. Oh, don't start me down
Chris,
that
I can
path.
see that.
Don't start me down that path. I think the conversation around real estate and depending on whether you're on the fence or not, your opinion of the market.
Mine right now?
Yeah.
I think overall, I mean, we're obviously on track to have a better year than last year. It's just constantly growing, but real estate's a moving target. You have to be ever willing to change and learn, as we've been talked this whole time. And if you're in a fixed mindset, you will get left behind. And I think regardless of whatever comes on the market with all the changes coming and all of that, you have to adapt, and you can't just hide from it. Like, just hit it head on and get right through it, figure it out. And there is opportunity in every weird market. I got in when 2008 happened. Everybody thought I was the dumbest person in the world, but we killing it. It's just just your mentality around it. And there's opportunity everywhere. You just got to uncover it.
People are going to buy and sell real
there
estate
forever. Buy and sell. San Antonio is a great area. Very insulated. Are you going to have little dips and peaks and valleys? That's every market, but San Antonio, feel very fortunate to be in this market. It's not a second home city or a beach place. I mean, you're in a position where it's very insulated, and you can build a great career here.
So I want to give you an opportunity to do something that you're not very good at. I'll give you an opportunity to gloat a little bit, because you built a pretty powerful team.
I thought you were going to make me sing or something.
I wouldn't know. I'm not. Yeah, I can't do that. You built a pretty big team. You're known all over the freaking area. And for someone that's not in production like you and Clint have backed out, the amount of people that still know you and still lean on you and talk to you, what are the most prized accolades this team has earned over the last, let's say, 5 years that you're the most proud of?
I say agents hitting their goals that they set out with, honestly, because when they hit their goals, the team hits the goals. And again, that to me, honestly, that starts it all. But I think being the number one team in the city is a big one. To me, that's one I've always had the sights on. And being able to accomplish that, I think, is a huge thing. But again, not being in production, not being the person making up half of that production to get there and building a business around it, knowing and watching agents hit their goals that go into that, to me, that's the biggest.
That answer, that's probably the one reason why I have a very, very strong loyalty to this team, because of an answer like that. Because the first thing I thought you were going to say was San Antonio Business Journal or Zillow partnership or Fast Expert ranking number one team in the nation, or something like that. The first thing out of your mouth was agents hitting their goals.
Oh yeah.
Like, listen, I've been in this business for 7 years now. I have dealt with hundreds upon hundreds of agents. I am friends with brokers that own their own brokerages, brokers that are associate brokers for other brokerages.
You have friends?
And I'm 2 or 3. And the first thing they'll always say is, we're the number one brokerage in the city, or we're whatever. Their focus isn't on their agents. And that's what I think stands out about this team. When you come in, you talk to the teammates, the agents on the team, their loyalty is true and thick because the amount of time poured into the team, amount of money poured into the team. I mean, we got a badass office, although this room does not have air conditioning.
It's kind of warm.
I expect that to be addressed before the next episode.
Let me write that down.
Clint,
Clint,
can you get this taken care of while you're on vacation, please? But I'm very grateful to be a part of this team. I'm grateful to have the leadership we have in place. And I'm very grateful that you came on this podcast because I know that you don't do this shit very often.
I don't. I usually fly under the radar, and I don't know. But yeah, no, loved it. Good stuff. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I actually got a referral from an agent from Florida in Keller Williams, and she says Neal and Neal Team is the best kept secret in San Antonio. She says because she didn't know who we were, but then she looked at our numbers and says, what the heck? How do y'all produce so much? And she just said now they know us from Florida as well.
Awesome.
I mean, God, Gary Keller came on to a freaking team meeting at a little game we played just to give you and Clint a shout out. God, you're welcome.
All right. And thank Ryan, I guess, for that one.
Yeah, Ryan pulled it off, Mr. Cover. But no, we really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I appreciate everybody that tunes in and follows along and subscribes. Keep clicking the subscribe button and then like this post. And then you can contact us here or there. And I'm sure that Carlos is not going to put any of these blocks in that he's supposed to put in. But Carlos, you want to close us out?
All right. See you guys later. Until next time. That's it.
Y'all take care.
Yep.